I've got this Bible translation I want to share with you guys. It actually should be called a Bible version. A version. This says translation, but it's actually a version, because it's the version according to the Jehovah's Witnesses. It says that this Bible was rendered from the original languages. And this rendering was by the New World Bible Translation Committee. And it was revised in 1984. In this Jehovah's Witnesses translation, which I spent my whole life reading when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, they have a verse in here in the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. In verse 21, this is a verse that I heard so many times. We had so much literature based on this Bible verse. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. It says to make sure of all things. Hold fast to what is fine. Make sure of all things. Now, when we use that Bible verse, especially when talking to other people, because you know what Jehovah's Witnesses do, they do something that they call witnessing. Witnessing for Jehovah's Witnesses is talking to other people about their religious beliefs and hoping to get people to study their religious literature with them. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they'll call it a Bible study, but they don't study the Bible unless they're using their religious literature to study it. And this isn't just with other people. It's also among themselves. If they are reading their Bible, they won't read it without the interpretation of what their religious leaders program them to interpret the Bible with through their religious literature. So aside from their literature, called their Watchtower literature, they have more than just the Watchtower magazine, but their Watchtower literature comes from what's called the Watchtower Society. That is the title that their religious leaders took upon themselves. So the Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door. They witness on the streets. They write you letters. They'll even make you phone calls. And they encourage people to investigate. To make sure means to investigate. Investigate what you believe. And all things about what you believe. Make sure or investigate all things, especially when it comes to the beliefs that you have about God and about the Bible. Now, the most incredible thing about this is that they preach those words to people, but they don't practice what they preach. Once again, I'm speaking from my 30 years experience, born and raised in this religion, calling it the truth, believing it was the truth, teaching what I believed with all of my heart to be the truth to other people, hoping to convert other people from whatever beliefs they had, convert them into my beliefs, right? My religious beliefs. Now, the one thing I could never even dream of doing, it was forbidden for any Jehovah's Witness to do. In fact, if a Jehovah's Witness, if it was found out that you were doing this, you would get in so much trouble. They would make sure that you were excommunicated or disfellowshipped from associating with other Jehovah's Witnesses. And once you were disfellowshipped, you would be shunned by these Jehovah's Witnesses, whether it be family and whether it be friends. And even if you had a spouse, your spouse would look at you as an evil-doing Jehovah's Witness. And your spouse would get so much attention from the others in the religion because your poor spouse lives with somebody that dared to investigate their religious beliefs. Dared to question or investigate whether their religious leaders are the men that they claim to be, the chosen ones of God, to represent God's kingdom right here on earth, and to lead the people of the earth to enter into this kingdom that God was going to establish not too long in the near future, once he brings a war that they called Armageddon, that they get from the Bible. Armageddon, which actually means the mountain of Megiddo. And once this war is finished, and those that are left standing who remain here on earth, they would get busy establishing God's earthly kingdom, led by these chosen men who are authorized by God himself to lead people into a new kingdom, which they call a new system. That's what they call it. A new system of things. That's exactly how they word it. A new system of things. My sisters and I, when we were younger, we used to have this saying. We would say, let your yes mean yes, and your no mean no, or you will die in the new system. Meaning you better tell the truth or you're going to die in the new system. We didn't say you're going to die in the paradise. You're going to die in this new world. No, it was the new system. Just an interesting word choice that their leaders use. Society, new system, new world. Very similar to some of the speech you hear in political talk. New World Order. How about secret societies? How about systems? A new system. See, I have to tell you, I hope I don't sound like a robot or anything like that. I share these things because I want to help people to just think and admit the truth. Because if you can just admit the truth, that's a good start. See, I had an experience years ago when I was a Jehovah's Witness. And I was going door to door talking to people. And I had gone to this door and I was alone. I went to this particular door, just me and then the guy that we call the householder. They call people that answer the door the householders. So the householder opened the door and this man says that, he had his own religious beliefs and he believes that he has the truth. And he says, but I assume that you believe you have the truth too. And I said, well, yeah. And he says, well, wouldn't it be wrong for me to investigate if I have the truth because I believe what I have is the truth and God knows I believe that I have the truth. So if I investigate it, that's me questioning if I truly believe that what God has given me to be the truth. He says, wouldn't God be upset at me about that? And I said, no. And I quoted that verse to him that I just quoted to you guys. The Bible says to make sure of all things, especially your religious beliefs. God wants you to. He wants you to investigate. This guy says, really? Yes. He says, so if I went to your church with you, he says, God wouldn't be upset at me for questioning things? And I said, not at all. You sure about that? Yes, I am, I said. So he says to me, all right, tell you what. You go to me with my church and I'll go with you to yours. And I stopped and I'm like, oh, well, I can't do that. Why not? Well, because I do have the truth. And he says, but I just told you I have the truth. And you told me it was okay to investigate my truth. But now you won't practice what you just preached? And I had nothing further to say. He had stopped me at that door. There was nothing more I could say. All I could do is say, well, I gotta go. And I turned and I left. And the word hypocrite kept repeating itself over and over and over again in my mind. And for the next few years, it really bothered me a whole lot. Like there was a seed that was planted in my mind. And it started to take root in my heart. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are terrified of this because they believe that this guy planted evil inside of me. How dare him? And how dare me let that seed get planted in me? I should have let that seed get taken away by going to Jehovah God's religious leaders and reading their literature, confessing what had happened to me at the door, getting the help from them that I needed, because we dare not question anything our religious leaders say. We dare not question or investigate whether we're being taught the truth or not, because that means if you investigate it, it means that you are an unbeliever. You're a doubter. And they call people like me apostates. The very worst thing that a Jehovah's Witness can be called is an apostate. An apostate is somebody that dares to question and investigate their religion. And then if you do investigate things and find out that there was anything that was manipulated by the religious leaders, falsified by them, then you are to be terminated. It's a lot like what you see in politics today. If you don't go along with what certain people on a certain side believe, everything, they will demonize you, they will label you, they will make sure to make your name so terrible. They'll do whatever it takes to shut you up and to make people terrified of you, like you're some kind of disease. Because they don't want anybody listening to you, because you might have discovered a little truth and you might share that truth. So the one thing they got to do quickly is demonize you like they did me. And I just was wondering, like, why is it that we tell others to investigate their beliefs, but we're not allowed to do so ourselves? And that was the beginning of my apostasy, as they call it, in the Jehovah's Witnesses religion. And that was the beginning of what they call my fall. But I continued to investigate things. And I investigated this book that they have, their translation of the Bible. And I did start investigating it with what they say rendered by the original languages while I went into these original languages and started studying for myself and finding out a whole bunch of manipulation had taken place so that their religion, their doctrine, their theocracy, their theology was not based around this book. But what had happened is they made a version of this book that was based on their doctrine, their theology, right? Once again, they didn't base their doctrine and theology upon this book or its original writings in Hebrew or in Greek. But what they did is they manipulated the Hebrew and Greek to match their doctrine, their theology. It's amazing. And then, you go so deep into investigating a whole bunch of other things, and it's just enlightening and shocking at the same time. And then you find yourself wondering, how could I have been fooled so greatly? And then I was fooling others. And I just so happened to be one of those people. When I was a Jehovah's Witness, I was terrified of people like myself, people that I had found out, investigated our religious beliefs, and then started speaking about the discoveries they made. I was terrified of people like me. And I did the same thing that they were ordered to now do to me. I shunned those people. Shunned them because they were a danger and they were a threat to me. Why? Because they might encourage me to investigate my beliefs too. Now, is it the greatest threat actually to a Jehovah's Witness? Is it the greatest danger that they could ever face? Well, the threat for them, the danger for them is they just might wake up from their sleep and they might start to see things with a whole new set of eyes. And because they've been indoctrinated so heavily, they might start to unscramble this indoctrination and the brainwashing that they had been part of, that had been taking place in their minds and in their hearts and in their souls, even affecting their physical health. It might start unscrambling, and that brainwashing might start to dissipate. And it's scary, and it's shocking at first. And it's not an easy road, because then a whole bunch of sacrifices are made. You have to face the reality that you could lose a whole bunch of people in your life. You could lose a whole bunch of stuff in your life. Now, is it worth it? Was it worth it for me? Looking back, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I wouldn't have done it any different or changed a thing. And I'm very grateful for all the research and investigating that I had done, because I actually got set free. And instead of calling the lie the truth, now I have this gift of quickly identifying the lies from the truth, the real truth. And for me, the real truth I found is exactly in Jesus Christ, the one that says, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. And that watchtower stuff has nothing to do with the truth or the way or the life. Those are just labels that they will brand to their religious leaders and to their religious beliefs. But they're just labels for them. But it's not something that is actually a part of them at all. So that is the greatest threat to Jehovah's Witnesses. They might wake up if they investigate. But this threat is only a threat to that religious stuff that they got programmed in them. And once that religious stuff gets kicked out, they'll realize, wow, I just got free from what truly is called Babylon the Great. Anyway, I hope this message has blessed you. I do encourage you, if you are a Jehovah's Witness and you are wondering, why? Why do we tell other people? Why do we preach things, but we don't practice what we preach? We tell everybody else to investigate their beliefs, but we won't investigate it ourselves. And you might stop and say, because it is the truth. We have the truth. We're the only religion that this. We're the only religion that that. We're the only religion that uses the name Jehovah. We're the only religion. We're the only religion. You just got to stop saying those things, because you sound like a parrot that just repeats itself over and over and over again, because that's the Jehovah's Witnesses' biggest defense. That's what they always fall back on. But we're the only religion that. Listen, God doesn't have a religion. What God can give you is a relationship one-on-one, and he'll make it personal. Jesus didn't say, come to my religion, all you who are weary, and I will set you free. That religion will set you free. No, he said, come to me, and I will set you free. So please do yourselves a favor. Start to investigate things. Don't be terrified by people like me. Don't look at outward appearance. Well, he doesn't look like a Jehovah's Witness anymore. Well, duh. Anyway, okay, I hope this has blessed you. Love you all. And we'll see you all next time. I hope you have a great day.